So I'm going to talk about short-term memory and long-term memory and some examples of what they are and how you can test each of them and how they affect me in everyday life. Short-term memory is a system for temporarily storing and managing information um, required to carry out complex cognitive tasks such as reasoning. Um, they test short-term memory with something called memory span. It's a number of items like words or numbers that a person can hold on to or recall. An examiner reads a random list aloud to the person at a rate of one number per second, and at the end, the person being tested is asked to recall the items in order. 7 is the average word for a normal adult. Um, I've seen this firsthand a few years ago. My aunt was in a car accident and she was hit so hard that it damaged her brain. They induced a medical coma. And when she awoke from the coma, they did all these words and picture tests. And the first one I saw them do was they showed her pictures of baby animals and for about a second to 2 seconds, and then asked her to recite them in order. And they did this to see if her short-term memory was damaged. Um, Unfortunately, it was. At the time, she was having struggles with it. She's been going to a doctor for years now who does these same tests with her, pictures, words, colors, um, stop signs, road signs, because she started to drive again. And they keep testing her to see if it's healing or if it's permanently damaged. At this rate, it looks like it's healing. It's not as strong as, say, you or I would have, but the brain did heal its short-term memory lobe. Um, Long-term memory is a system that is for permanently storing and managing information that can be retrieved later use. Um, Information that is stored in the long-term memory part of the brain can be remembered for as long as a lifetime. Um, we have a long-term memory that is responsible for knowing how to do things, ride a bike, drive, cook. We have a part of the brain that stores um, knowledge about the world, the meaning of words, and just general knowledge. And then we have the part that can remember events of our life and experiences in our life. And we can talk about them years on out. So I believe long-term memories start forming at the age of 3. It's when you can start to remember events. I also get to see long-term memory and short-term memory being effective firsthand. I work with an older woman who has dementia, and her short-term memory is completely gone. There is no saving it. She's 100 years old. You could tell her one thing, answer a question she just asked you, and then 2 seconds later she'll ask it again, and you can give the same answer, and she just doesn't remember that you just did that. Her long-term memory, however, is perfectly intact. She tells us stories that we can confirm are true because of her children and pictures that she is looking at the time of telling the story. So, for example, like I said, she's 100 years old. She's got 3 children. She told me a story about one day her son taped her youngest son to a tree because they got mad at each other. And Her son was right there shaking her head saying, yeah, I remember that. And her sons are in their 70s, and this happened when they were 7 and 10. So, you know, one part of the brain can be affected by a disease like that more than the other. Her short-term memory is gone, and her long-term memory is there. So she can remember her lifetime from the time she reached about 90. 90. So anything from 90 and back, she can recall. The Alzheimer's started to progress in her early 90s. So her short-term memory is gone, and she can't really form any new long-term memories because of the short-term memory being gone. She doesn't remember anything that happened today, and if you ask her about it tomorrow, she'll just make something up about what she did. So, yeah, that's short-term and long-term memory.